Hey Flexers, it's your girl Malika, aka Mali, aka Malibu, whatever you want to call me. It's me, and this is Malika's Flex. If you are in the Caribbean and you are a teacher or a student that is preparing for the CSEC Food and Nutrition exam, this book is for you. Trust me, you're going to love it. Oh no, I'm gonna love it. If you are completing portfolios and you find them to be a drag, whether it is to mark these portfolios as teachers or to complete them as students, trust and believe that this book was created specifically for you. In this book, you will find 14 topics that are aligned with the CSEC curriculum. Okay? Now, this book makes it much easier to complete portfolios. Teachers can assign worksheets from this book, and students can simply place them in their portfolios, making it easier for the teacher to follow, easier for the students to follow, and just easy for everybody all together. Now, this book is cheap. 2,000 Jamaican dollars. I don't know about you, but in this day and age, I don't know where you're going to find a workbook or a textbook that is that cheap. All right. Now, if you want to get this book, you can contact the number on the screen through WhatsApp, or you can shoot an email to the email that is on the screen. Buy up the book. It's very helpful. Guys, I have a story time for you today. And I actually shared this story on TikTok already, but as y'all know, TikTok is kind of limited with the time and whatnot, so I had to omit some things. So I want to reshare this story on this platform. And I know that most of my YouTube followers or subscribers aren't necessarily on my TikTok, so it doesn't even matter. So yes, and even if you watched this video already on TikTok or you saw the story already on TikTok, watch it again. Yes. Anywho, I want to tell you guys about my teacher who read my diary. Oh, Tadai? Yeah. Anyway, so I was in the 6th grade. So I was about age 11. And I had a little crush. Okay. Now, everybody's different. Some children at that age, they're very bold with it. Some children are very shy with it. As for me, I had a crush in my class, and the crush happened to sit down beside me. We were sitting at the back of the class, and so it was kind of awkward because it's one thing to have a crush. I remember you're young, you're not sure about your feelings and all these things, and you feel embarrassed maybe if you like somebody, but it's awkward because you're sitting beside the person. Okay. Now, back then, we had diaries. You know, those little books where you put all your secrets in, you express all your thoughts, how the day was, who made you feel upset today, who made you feel angry today, which one of your friends you're not talking to today, diaries. Now, this specific diary was, it was in style at that point in time because it had a lock on it. Now, if you didn't have one of these diaries, you never said nothing. If you did not have one of these diaries, it was like you were lame. Like, what are you doing with your life? Plus, they were cheap. They were like, I think $50, Jamaican dollars, guys. Right, at the time. So I had one of those little diaries. And being the person that I am, even to this date, I like to write. I like to write poetry. I still have a diary, but a virtual one now, one on my phone. I like to write down things. If I have a dream, I like to write it down. I've always been that girl, and not everybody's like that, but I'm that girl. Okay. So I had my diary, and from time to time, I would write in it about my little crush that was sitting beside me. And I'm gonna say the initial. The initial for this person was KD. No, a lot of the girls in the class, they also had a crush on this person. So that makes things even worse. Like, I wasn't about to say that I liked this person because, yeah, everybody already liked this person. Anywho, So I used to write about this person in my diary, you know. Oh, Katie looked at me a particular way today. Oh, Katie smiled at me today. Katie gave me a joke. You know, cringy things. Anyway, but it was my diary that I was, using to express myself. And Katie always saw me writing in that diary. So Katie, being curious and all, would always ask me, "What are you writing? Like, you're always writing in that book. What are you writing?" And I would tell Katie that when we're graduating, because guys, in Jamaica, when you're in sixth grade, afterwards you graduate and you go to seventh grade, which is a different school. So I would tell Katie that after graduation, I would let him see the book and see the contents within that book, which I didn't care because I'm like, okay, we're going to be going to different schools anyway, so I don't care. So, yeah. Anywho, Katie was curious and could not wait. So, one day when we were in class, our social studies teacher, and usually back then you have one teacher for every subject in sixth grade, but we actually had a different teacher for PE, a different teacher for social studies, and I think a different teacher for computer science. Right. So, our social studies teacher, he gave the class a group assignment. So that meant I had to move from where I was sitting at the back and I had to move to a different location. In this case, I was sitting at the front of the class with my assigned group for that lesson. So I was there, doing my work because I wasn't that student who didn't do her work. I used to do all my work. I used to, I was very obedient to my teachers and adults and whatnot. So I was at the front sitting with my group, doing my work. And out of the blue, I saw the teacher with my diary in his hand, holding up, asking, "Whose diary is this?" So, of course, my heart jumped out of my chest. And I was like, "Me, sir, me, sir, me, sir, it's my diary." And I'm like wondering, how did this man get my diary when it was in my book bag? Right? So he said, "I don't know what's so special about this book, but everybody at the back was sitting around it, reading it instead of doing the work." So this meant that Katie went into my bag behind my back because he was so curious about what was inside it, and he was there with his group members reading it, and they were having a jolly good time, I guess. Like, that wasn't embarrassing enough. My teacher, instead of being responsible, he decided that he was going to finish reading the book. He did not read it to the entire class, but he finished reading the book, and then he decided that he was going to have a meeting with everyone that I've ever written about in that book. Can you imagine? People that I like, people that I do not like, everybody. So if today I wrote that this girl was being mean and I didn't like her today, she was going to be in the meeting. If I wrote about a teacher, good or bad, that teacher was going to be in the meeting. And thinking about it now, I'm like, I can't believe that other teachers actually joined this meeting. So I think it was during lunchtime, he called us together, everybody that I ever wrote about in my book. And he called us in the computer lab, I remember clearly, because he also taught computer science. So we were all in the computer lab, and he read the contents of my diary to all the students that I ever wrote about, and to all the teachers. I think it was like 2 other teachers that I wrote about in my book. And on top of that, I can remember vividly one of the teachers saying to me, "Boy, Malika, I thought you were the perfect child, but now I know better." And I started to bawl. I started to cry. 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 I didn't know what to do with myself. I felt like my whole world was tumbling down, and this was the end of the world. No, he was saying that he's going to what he's going to do with the diary. I don't remember fully right now. And I just remember feeling so ashamed, so embarrassed. And I guess back then, like I said, like you feel like liking somebody was like something wrong. And so I didn't want him to tell my mother that I like somebody. In that meeting, can you imagine how some of the students were laughing about some of my thoughts? Like, it was so embarrassing. It was embarrassing. And of course, some of the students that I perhaps wrote about saying that I didn't like them, that created enemies for me. Like, anyway, so I needed to get back my book because I didn't want him to do whatever else with my book. And this girl in the class, I'm gonna call her RH. RH, she was a really good student, and nobody would suspect that she would come to my rescue like that, because she's not, involved in any mix up or whatever. She gets, really good grades, and she's a really quiet student. But she saw him place the book on his desk, grabbed the book for me, gave it to me, and I just threw it in the trash because I didn't want anything else to happen to the book. No, guys, you all know, you watch my channel, I am a teacher now. And I'm thinking to myself, I would never, ever read out a student's diary to anyone, much less the people that they actually wrote to. Now, of course, we're teachers. Sometimes they're in class and students may write like a note and you're like, give me that, right? But you're not reading it out loud to anybody, especially if you see that it's something embarrassing. And I'm looking back and I'm saying, this teacher, Mr. H, you know who you are. Mr. H, why did you do it? I am scarred to this day. Why did you have to do that? I would never do that to any student. Like, you're the mature person in the situation. And guys, I saw this teacher years after, like when I was in like grade 11, almost about to leave high school. I saw him in my community in Brownstone, St. Anne. And he saw me and he was like, oh, I remember you. You're the guy, you used to wear glasses. Well, I was still wearing glasses anyway. Still wear glasses. But you used to wear glasses and you're the one with the diary. Like, are you telling me that 5 years later you still found this ordeal funny? 5 years later, you never evolved into a better person. 5 years later, you were not regretful to say, wow, this was something messed up. Listen, every teacher has done something or said something to a student that they wish that they never did. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, not to this magnitude maybe, but something that you might have said or done to a student that you really sit down and think, well, I probably should not have said that to that student. That was very insensitive of me. And 5 years later, you have not evolved. And now to hear that this teacher is a principal, like you're supposed to be guiding other teachers, is this the behavior that you encourage in your school presently? Just questioning, Those are my questions. But you guys, this is what happened to me. And I told, because I shared this story on TikTok, my mother found out about it afterwards. And she was like, why didn't you tell me? Because I would have reached out by the school and done this man a long time. And my mom is a teacher as well. But I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to at the time. Yeah, there's some things that we have to be mindful of, especially where children are involved. Because I tell you, to this day, I am scarred. I am so scarred to this day. Whew. Anywho. Meet me again another time, guys, for a story time. Guys, I have some story times that I want to share. But being a teacher, there are some things I can't share. And I want to share some things. Like, I have to be very selective about the story times that I share. But I'll be finding a way to share my stories. And I really want you guys to hear my stories. I have juicier stories coming up. And things that I want you guys to hear and probably learn from and whatever. So thank you guys for watching. Remember to give this video a thumbs up if you have not already. Remember to subscribe to this channel if you have not already. And if you are already subscribed, remember to get notified so that you will never miss an upload from moi. Anyway, this is your girl Malika, aka Mali, aka Malibu, whatever you want to call me. This is me, and this is Malikasflex saying bye, flexers.